Hi guys. Okay, I have been thinking about making a tree skirt for the longest while now, and I thought I'm going to get started today. Now I am going to be using fat quarters, so I am not sure how it's going to come out, but I'm going to go for it anyway. But I've been thinking about this, so I'm going to, you know what, let's just be free, not worry about the outcome, but I'm just going to go through the process and see where it takes me. But I have been thinking about this for the longest while. I don't want to use bright Christmas fabrics. I'm really interested in sort of pale Christmas fabrics, and I'll show them to you. I've got them all laid out here on my table. But I don't want this really bright metallic, you know, that vibrant Christmas red. I just want something a bit subtle. That's what I'm thinking about, a really subtle Christmas tree skirt. But let's go have a look at my fabrics. And I'm using a fat quarter, 1 pack of fat quarter with 5 Christmas fat quarter in them, as I said, but I'm rambling because I'm thinking as I am talking to you. I'm literally just doing this on the whim. So I just ended my pinwheel video with you, and so I am starting this one now. And so I just I thought I'll jump on board on the camera, tell you now where my brain is at, and then we will see what happens. So let's get started. All right, so these are the fabrics. Okay, so as you can see, they're not very vibrant Christmas fabric. Okay, so when I'm talking about vibrant, I'm talking about a red like this, where you can see all the metallics in it. This is beautiful, don't get me wrong. This is not where my brain is at the moment, okay? But I've had these fat quarters here since last year. I bought these. They were on sale. I think it was the end of the year, so Christmas was almost over. And I bought them, and they've been sitting there, and I thought I'm going to use them. All right, so it's 5. I'm going to show you them, and I want you to understand where I'm going with. So they all got this you know, this color that leaves with each other. So they've got a bit of blue there, you know, green and blue there, and they all have prints on them. So there is something connecting all of them. There's a little bit of blue here. There's some green in this one. You see, this one is fine because it's not vibrant. It's not that really strong Christmas vibrancy that you get. And I love this one. Okay. So let me show you what I am thinking. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside for now, and we're going to cut later. It should be a very quick project. It shouldn't be a long one. So I'm going to be using my diamond, my diamond ruler, okay, my 60 degrees diamond ruler. All right, and this is a pattern I am going with. So I've cut them out on paper because when I'm making a new project, I tend to use scrap fabrics to make it out, of course, and then sometimes if it's a particular pattern, I would cut it in on paper first before I cut it on fabrics. So this is going to be 1 fat quarter. This is going to be probably 2 fat quarters there. All right, and this is going to be another fat quarter, hence the reason why I'm using 5. So I should be able to get all of my cuts from this. So as you can see, it makes a lovely big huge diamond. All right, so that is the template I am working with. It's literally cut to this. Now if you haven't got this diamond ruler, I would put a template link on my Crafty quilting website so that you can download it. Okay, but let's move on from there. Now if you do not have the ruler, once again, but you do have this big long line here on your mat, and you can use that, and I will demonstrate how to use that as well for those of you who don't have it. It's quite easy, to be honest. All right, so let's get started on this. So I've already worked out that I want this fabric here, and if you're using directional print, just be mindful to make sure and turn it right side up. Okay, so this is beautiful, isn't it? It's very Christmassy. I love this one. It actually has a Christmas star on it there. I think it's I can't remember. Is that on the highest star? I think that's on the highest star. Anyway, so I'm going to start with this one. So this is going to be my number one. All right, so I'm going to cut this now and get all my tools together and come back because I haven't got everything here with me. And then we will get started. All right, guys, so we're going to get cutting. What I am going to do is simply straighten up the edge of my fat quarter here, just to make sure it's nice and straight. And I can see that it's already a little bit not cut straight from when it was originally bought. So I'm just going to straighten it up so I don't have any issues when I get down to the end there. Now, either way, you are going to have a little bit of wastage. You can use yardage, of course, but as I said, I had these here for a while now. As I said, for a year, and I wanted to use them. Plus, I love the fact that it's a little bit on the pastel side. Let's just use that terminology for now, okay? Now, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to put it right to the end and the point to where the fabric ends, basically. And I'm just simply going to cut. Now, you could do this two ways. You could simply just lay this on top of there and cut a strip, which is what I'm going to do, because I'm cutting a strip of fat quarter to the width of the ruler. That's all I'm doing. So I'm literally putting it on top of the ruler. So the ruler is on top of the 60 degrees diamond ruler, and I'm simply just going to cut. That's the only thing I'm doing here, just so that it just saves me some time. So I'm just going to lay that there, take my time and go all the way down because I don't want to move it. And pull this one out. And that the ruler is still there. Hopefully you can pick it up. And if you have a rotated mat, perfect. If you haven't, again, perfect still. I don't have one and I don't really make it an issue. I can walk all around my table. All right. So that's there. It's going to be a little bit wonky on the side, but when I say wonky, I meant the way I'm holding it. But I'm going to take my time. Done. And all I'm going to do is just pull this out, and that's one cut there. I'm going to do the same thing, line it up on the previous cut. So if you have a template, you would literally do the same. All right, line it up. If you want, you can use your template, line it up properly, put it towards the end, and simply just cut. The only thing you've got to be mindful of is that you don't trim your paper template. All right, so I need 8 of these for my first, so I should be able to get 8. Now, even if I were to use my 60 degree line, I will still have wastage. All right, there is no ifs or buts about that. You will still have wastage. All right, so I'm just going to use my cut here and simply did what I did before, line it up and simply just cut. Now, I do hope that I don't encounter any problems, meaning I have enough to get me towards the end. If not, it's gonna have to be I'm gonna have to find something very similar to complete the project, but I don't think I will have that issue. But as I said, I only need 8 anyway. So what you can do to make life easier for yourself, you can simply cut another strip and then cut quite a few at the same time, so it cuts down your time. Alright guys, so I have a strip here just to set an example of how to use a 45-degree line. Now let me just make this very clear. I am using a 60-degree diamond ruler, okay? However, I'm going to demonstrate the diamond cut using the 45-degree line on your mat. Now that's the longest line from the number one in the corner that goes all the way to the other side. Alright, now I prefer this size. Obviously this is a little bit smaller, but you still get a diamond cut. It doesn't really matter, right? So you need to line up the fabric literally on the line. Okay, so whatever size width the fabric is the amount of width you are cutting for your diamond. All right, so all I'm going to do is cut away the excess here, which I've already done. All right, so I've lined it up. So let me put the excess back. So I've lined it up so the point is literally down here. I don't want to move the mat because then I have to adjust the camera, but you can see what I'm doing anyway. So I have literally put it on that 45-degree line, and I've taken my ruler and lined up the point to the end of one of my lines, my grid lines here, and all I've done is simply just cut it to get the start of my 45-degree cut. Okay, so I'm going to move that out the way. Now whatever width your strip is the width you are going to cut your fabric here. All right, so I'm just going to measure it yet again just to make sure, because this was just an extra piece left over from the fat quarters. So to make sure that it is what it says. Right, beautiful. Wow, I measured that accurately. So and all I'm going to do then is cut. All right, so remember again, whatever the width of the strip is, you line it up on your 45-degree line. You cut the excess, because all you're doing is lining up, just placing the ruler, making sure you find the tip so you can get the tip of your cut. All right, and then you measure across just like you would normally. So 1 2 3 4 5, whatever it is, let's say it's a 6 inches strip, you line it up and you cut 6 inches across. Once you cut it, you get your diamond cut. All right, it's very simple. Now as I said, this is a 45-degree and this is a 60-degree. So mine is a little bit wider, which is what I was aiming for. This cut is a little bit longer. That's the only difference with it. You can use either or. As I said, there will be a template for you if you want to use this one, or you can just simply use the 45-degree on your mat. Either way, you will still get your diamond cut. All right, so that is the example of how to use it. Right, so we're gonna lay it all out now. I'm gonna put all the cuts together, and then I'm going to show you where my brain is going with this. All right, so as I'm about to cut my last fat quarter, I just wanted to mention that I am cutting opposite the selvage, okay, because I want fine, or I want to use, I should say, that strong grain. I don't want to cut on that bias grain where my diamond cut is going to be stretchy. Now if you do that, what you will find that is that when you sew it together, it wouldn't lay flat. So I am cutting opposite my selvage. All right, so I've already measured across what my diamond cut is. Now you've seen me do all this already, so I'm just going to zoom through this. Well, I shouldn't use the word zoom when I'm using a rotary cutter, but you get the gist. Okay, so let me show you all of the leftover bits you're going to have from your 5 fat quarters. All right, so these are your scraps, and of course you can make a really beautiful scrap project with this, which I'm sure I would do at some point. All right, so you will have waste, just to bear that in mind, or you could use yardage, but you will have waste either way. All right, so I have my 3 sets of cuts here, and I'm going to lay them out for the first time with you. I haven't done it off camera, so I don't know what it's going to look like. So these are my middle, so obviously they're more, and this is the start here. So these are going to be more or less mixed in. So because they are the lightest within the group of fat quarters, and I'm going to use a different one each time. And that was my aim really. I really wanted something light. So one of the good thing about this cut is that if it's upside down, you can always just twist it so that it's right side up. But either way, I don't think that matters. It's a tree skirt anyway. Okay, and then my other one is going to fit there. Now that looks lovely. I'm really happy with that. I wanted the light in the middle. If you want this to be the top of your tree skirt, i.e. where the circle is, then you can always do it like so, and then have this one at the bottom, which is what I think I may possibly do. I haven't decided yet. All right, so let me show you now how to sew this together. Very easy. So these two will be sewn together, and these two will be sewn together. Now when you flip it over, do not line it up point for point, because it is going to be incorrect. Why is it going to be incorrect? Because the seams or the points will not match properly. Now, let me say this before we move on. There are going to be possibly some Y seams, and I'll tell you why. Because there's something else we need to do, but I'm not going to do it. But I'm going to give you the option to do it, but I'm not going to do it where we use the white seams, and I'll tell you that when that comes later. So when you line this up, you just need to move it down a touch so that it is sticking out on each side. All right, guys, once you have your both halves, yes, sewn together, we need to join them together. Okay, now what I want to point out is that once you have sewn it together correctly, you should see that 1/4 inch sticking out. Then I'm going to hold it this way. Well, we'll try this way and see. You can see it sticking out there. All right, so that's what we're aiming at, to make sure, because if I fold it back like so, you can actually see it much better there. All right, so that's the 1/4 inch sticking out, and you should have it on both ends. If I turn it upside, you can see it there. Okay, now what I have noticed is that some of my blocks, when I cut them, was slightly bigger. Okay, so you have two options. You can leave it as is, as you can see here, this one is slightly bigger. All right, and that tends to happen when you stack and you cut. So you can cut yours one row at a time. Obviously, I did about 3 or 4 rows at a time. All right, which doesn't bother me. So what I'm going to do is just line it up and just trim off the excess. Okay. Right, so that's now normal. So we need to now join these two together. Okay, now the important thing here is to make sure your points line up. So I'm going to fold it over. Okay, now when you fold it over, you're looking for the same objective, to have the 1/4 inch sticking out at the bottom and at the top, same thing. Now what I have been doing is just pinning the middle here, just to make sure that I have achieved the objective of having the point meet in the middle. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is one I've already done, and as you can see, it has, all points has met together nicely in the middle there. All right, so I have been pinning just to make sure, and I'm going to fold it back, and I can see that I am slightly off. Let me finger press it so it stays. I'm going to pick it up again, hold it towards the camera, and I can see that I'm slightly off there. All right, so to adjust it, the easiest thing to do is to just go through the middle of the seam there, like so. All I've done is taken the pin and just go right in between there. And I'm going to do the same thing here as well. Line it up where I think it should be. And you may have to move this one up or down depending, just to make sure you find that point and you put it in. Okay, and I'm going to pin again and see if I have found it. And if not, I'll just keep readjusting, just to make sure that I have, make sure it, and that looks fine there. Slightly off, just a touch off, but I'm going to bring it closer yet again and you can see. All right, so I reckon that's fine there. And all I'm going to do now is just simply just fold it back in its position, and I have found where the 1/4 inch sticks out there. Let's hold it in my hand so you can see it there sticking out, and on this side where that 1/4 inch again sticks out. So I'm going to line it up and sew. So hopefully you can make out what I'm actually referring to. All right, so I'm just going to zoom in yet again so you can see on this point here where you can see it sticking out, and if I were to fold it back you can actually see that there. Right, then I'm going to put a little bit of a pen on it and just make that. So that's it there, and then on this end you can actually see it there. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is just sew along there, and once you've done that you're going to find that you have your block nicely. Now if you feel that the block is out of shape, all you really need to do is just check it. If you feel that you've got some extra fabric sticking out, just line it up and make sure your diamond is on point properly. Now, all right guys, so you need to decide now which point you want to be in the middle. All right, now I've decided I want this end here to be at the tip of my tree skirt, and this is going to be the middle. So you need to trim away here, and the pattern will tell you what you need to trim away to. And then once you've done that, you need to add, I'm adding a little border on the edges here. I think it will look nice. All right, so you're going to add your border onto there on two sides and on this side. Okay, and it's going to come to an X like that. When you do so, especially the one on top, you are going to adjust it so that it sticks out there as well, because you don't want it like so. You don't want it point for point. If you do that, it's going to be like so. Okay, but what I have been doing is just giving it a little bit of an extra at the top there, and then once I fold over I trim. Okay, when you get to this end here, you need to make sure you go all the way down here, even over this line, as a 1/4 inch seam. All right, so once you've done that, it's going to look like so. So as you can see, I have sewn two pieces together here. I've started to make my skirt, and this is what it looks like. All right, I'm just trying to move in it. So obviously this is one half here. I've sewn it together along the top from there to there, and I will back stitch there just to make sure those stitches are secure. And once you open it up, this is what it looks like. Okay. Okay guys, so I have made my skirt. What I am going to do is give it a good press and make sure it's nice and flat. Now I have stitched it all together, but I've left this area here open because this is my area where I'm going to fit around the tree. Now before I move on, I just wanted to point out that when you do yours, you will have an extra bit of fabric at the back, and that's what I'm looking for. So this bit here, you need to cut that off like I have done these ones here. All right, so I'm going to give it a good press. Okay, and then we're going to get it basted and quilted. But I'm going to do a shortcut or an easy way of doing this so that I don't have to baste it in the usual way. I'm going to do the flip method. Let me show you that now. Alright guys, so this is what we're going to do. As you can see, I have now placed the tree skirt front sides down on top of my back fabric, and the batting is underneath there. So I'm going to use the flip method for this. So all I'm literally going to do is to cut around the actual shape, and you can see the circle here. My opening is just here, so I'm just going to put it apart so I have that space to go all the way and cut around there. So I'm going to cut exactly, at least close by to the edge of the actual tree skirt. All right, now before I do that, I'm going to pin just to make sure nothing moves and that I am happy with the position of where it actually is. So this is going to be the flip method, as I said. So I'm just going to do, well, it's going to be an easier way of basting this and obviously quilting it as well. Now you don't have to do it this way, you don't have to do the flip method if you don't want to, but it certainly makes sense, I think, for this particular design. And I am going to cut all in between here. So I'm literally going to cut out the shape of the actual skirt as it is. I'm cutting it because it will be so much more easier to take it to the sewing machine rather than taking this whole thing with me. So I'm going to cut around, stitch around it, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. All right, so I'll repeat that, cut all the way around and get cutting as I am here now in position. So I've pinned all of it. I'm going to put some pins closer to the middle here just to ensure it doesn't move, because you know these things have a tendency of moving. So as much as pins as possible that you feel secure that it wouldn't move. All right, that's what I'm literally doing here. I mean, the more pins the better. All right, so I'm going to start cutting now. So when I'm going to cut, I'm not going to give myself an inch. It's probably going to be literally a half an inch. I will give myself all the way around, okay? I'm not going to give myself too much because I don't want that bulk there. So I'm just going to cut it. I'm using a very sharp scissors, or I should say a fabric shears, to do my trimming. And once I have cut it all the way around and I have stitched, I would certainly trim off the extra around it because I don't want the bulk there once I have stitching it around, because obviously I'm going to fold it right side out. Alright, so have it under the machine now. So I've started sewing, so I'm coming up to the point whereby I need to leave it open. So all I'm simply doing is just sewing. I'm still using a 1/4 inch seam, so don't take that away. And I'm going all the way down. So I'm up to my point, so I have a pin there and a pin there just to remind me so that I don't forget. So nice big gap so I can put my hands through. So all I'm simply going to do is to just lock that stitch in, and then I will just cut and move on to the next area. So I'm just going to continue just exactly where I say I'm going to stop, because I don't want to stop around this area here. I want to stop just before that turn to go all the way up. So I don't want to stop anywhere along here. All right, so I'm going to stop there and just continue with my stitches. All right, so finished all sewing now. So I'm going to remove the pins, and what I'm going to do next is use my pinking shears to simply just cut closer. So like all this extra here, I'm just going to get rid of all of that. So once I turn it around, and once I flip it, then it's not too bulky on the edges. So the reason why I'm using the pinking shears is because you get that zigzag edge, don't you? So everything should be all right. So sometimes you just want that particular V cut so that everything flips over nicely, and it just works with the pinking shears. So that's what I'm going to use. All right, so finished cutting now. I'm gonna find the opening and I'm gonna put my hand right through and pull it front sides together. I'm gonna reach down to the corner The last one I can find, and just put it right through. Now this is the reason why you need to make sure that you leave a nice big opening so that you can get it through without ripping anything. And most importantly, you've got to make sure that you poke out those points nicely. I mean, sometimes I use like a crochet needle or something to help me poke it through nicely, or whatever you have really, as long as you don't use anything that's going to literally put a hole in it. So I'm just going to get it out roughly first, and then I'm going to go around it properly and poke out all of the corners, because the points matters. Don't they always, guys? Don't they always? Don't they always? So just take your time with this. Well, you don't have to take your time, but don't rush it. Just do it properly, basically. And just literally putting my finger right to all the star points and just poking them out. And I'm going to put it flat onto my tabletop here and literally spread it out properly. So that is what it looks like. As you can see, not bad. Very quick process, isn't it? So I'm just flattening it all out. I'm going to put an iron to it at some point. So getting it all out. I've got a corner here that's not out. That's it. So you can see the border has come up really nicely there on that. Just take your time. I think this might be the most important part, to be honest, because you really need to get all of those corners out. And I'm just pressing down and just smoothing out the edges. All right, guys, so it is completed. So let me go in a little bit closer so you can see what I did. Yeah, guys, to be honest, I'm very pleased with the outcome. I haven't got anything else to say other than that. It looks really nice. I do feel it as much as it's a Christmas tree skirt, I do feel that it will be nice as a table topper, and I'll certainly try that. I've just added 2 ribbons at the end there where it separates, so I can just tie together if needed and make a nice little bow. On the back, I've just did some meandering lines, and I think I was fine for it. Didn't need anything too fussy with the quilting. You don't have to quilt it if you don't want to. I think just doing stitch in the ditch is absolutely perfect for it. But other than that, I think it's fine. I think it works. What I would say though is that it is only a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-point star. If you wanted to make an 8-point star, then you'll have to use a 45-degree angle on your board, or just get a 45-degree diamond ruler, because remember I used a 60 degrees. So, but that's it basically. So what I'm going to do before I go is literally put it on my dining table and see what it looks like, because I do feel it feels kind of a table topper, which I think can be used both ways. Put a nice beautiful Christmas vase in the middle there and it will work. But yeah, let's go check it out and see. Let's get that idea out of my head, and then I know where I want to use it. But I haven't got my tree up as yet, so this is why I'm showing it to you like this. But I'm very happy with the results. I didn't want anything too over Christmassy color, too bold. I wanted something a little bit, you know, sort of in the background, and hence the reason why I use these colors around here and finish with the red. So I think that works out really nicely. So let's go check it out at the table and see what it looks like. Well, all right, here it is. I don't think it works here. No, definitely. I mean, it looks okay, but it's definitely a tree skirt. So at least I've got it out of my system, and I know it's definitely a tree skirt and it works there. But it looks all right. I'm happy with it. So guys, if you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Karen, and I certainly enjoy quilting and making crazy things that just come into my mind. So thanks for tuning in, guys. See you in the next one. Bye for now. Happy quilting. Bye, guys.